The people at CBS it was an incredible bureau. It was Roger Mudd on Capitol Hill, Dan Rather at the White House, Daniel Shore at the agencies, Marvin Kalb covering the State Department, Walter Cronkite at the helm. I mean, imagine that. And then the next tier of correspondents were people like Bob Schieffer and you know George Herman was actually the first tier. They were incredible correspondents, and the kids were Leslie Stahl, Ed Bradley, Bernard Shaw, me. I mean, we were the kids who had little kitty desks in the hallway, and we didn't have our own typewriters. We had to go into the bullpen where the newsroom was to use typewriters. So it was. It was very sobering to be a kid growing up in the Washington Bureau, this vaulted bureau, the best bureau in the country. Truly, it was considered to be the best bureau. The Washington Bureau of CBS was considered to be the best bureau, bar none, in the world, at any network. And so I think that everyone, the producers, the camera crews, everybody, just would give us a hard time. You don't know what you're doing. I'm not going to do that. Take orders from you? I don't think so. I'm not taking orders from some silly woman. I mean, if someone didn't say it, that was clearly the feeling that I'm going to do what I want to do. You may think that it's your story and that this is what you'd like, this or that or whatever. But that's not going to happen. I'm going to do what I think is right, and you don't know what you're talking about. Or, this copy that you wrote, this lead, is the worst thing I've ever read in my life. The worst. Here. Get it right. Didn't you read what it said in the New York Times this morning? Yeah, but that's not right. No, whatever. It was just, no, you're not. You may have gotten this story, but you're not doing it on the Cronkite News. You're just a kid. Someday you will. You go do it for radio, and the Star is going to do the story. Just give him all your information. What? But I developed it all. What's your problem?
Did you ever want to call it quits and just say, this isn't for me?
No, I don't know. I persevered. I don't know why. Or go try and get a comment from Ethel Kennedy when she visits Senator Kennedy's grave. What? You want me on the anniversary of his death to try and get her comment from her? Yes. Or go cover Pat Nixon.
Well, did you?
You know what? I think I went as they asked with the crew, but I don't think I ever tried. It's just beyond rude. They would say, go cover Pat Nixon. She's giving the, go cover Pat Nixon. She's presenting the Golden Pig Award or something. You know what I mean? And I'd say, that is not going to make the news, Why are we even covering it? Well, it was very protective. They did protective coverage, just in case something happened. And Ed Bradley would go up to the assignment editor and say no to things like that. And all the men would go up and say, you're crazy. I am not going. And then they'd ask the women, or tell the women, and we'd go, okay. It was horrible. But so we did our duty. We put our time in. One time I was supposed to follow H.R. Haldeman, Nixon's aide, to church during Watergate. One time I had to follow H.R. Haldeman to church during Watergate. And I said, oh, no, don't have me do that. Go. It was on a Sunday. I worked on weekends. That's another thing. Go. And so I did. But what I did was at his house before he left, I said, look, I've been asked by the mean old assignment editor to interview you. And I apologize, in advance. And he just said, okay. And as they were getting out of their car and walking to the church, I approached them, and the wife gave me this eviscerating look, and oh God, it was horrible. But Haldeman, oddly enough, when we followed them back to the house again, he said, okay, I'll stand here. And, and he said, so that I could get something. Bless him. He said, no comment, no comment, no comment, no comment, no comment. But he stood there. And thank goodness. He took pity on me because I told him, I don't want to do this.
Now, is there a point where you felt like you'd broken out, that you'd gone through your hazing and you started to get the stories that you wanted to do?
Oddly, there was a time when I thought I had finally kind of made it at CBS. I was covering on the campaign trail. I covered George McGovern in the '72 campaign, and then I covered Watergate, and then I covered Nelson Rockefeller when he was named vice president under Gerald Ford when Nixon had to resign. And I think there was a seminal moment in my career. I think it was on the McGovern campaign at some point in 1972. I'm not sure, but I do remember thinking that I think I have reached some level of competence in their minds, meaning the suits. In their minds, and some level of that I had made it in their minds. And then I think that's very hard to embrace, honestly, for a lot of women, because they continue to strive and cannot declare success and say, I've made it. I think men have a different approach. Once they feel successful, I think they say it. And I don't think women do.